So we got some interesting stuff going on here. I had this thought this morning to I actually wanted to kind of create what's it called? Arpeggios. And kind of had that in my mind. And the other thing I had in my mind was like keyboard tracking, like having the filter track to the keyboard range. And not have to keep programming it in every time. So I kind of was in between these two places when I started working on this project, and where I've kind of ended up is a bit of a hybrid and some discoveries along the way, which I'm going to do some and more videos about and some more experimenting about. But what I've got so far is has anyone ever used the filter on the delay as your main filter? Because I certainly hadn't until today. It's really interesting. It doesn't kind of behave like the normal filter. So to kind of show this, if I put the normal filter to its kind of maximum, so there's no, modulation or anything there. And let's take this crazy effect off. So at the moment I've got well, let's start from the beginning. I've got samples like I did in the previous video, if any of you have watched that. The only difference is these ones are like incremental filter settings. So as opposed to sampling the 101 and putting that over 5 octaves, the additional thing is I increase the filter for each octave. So the low note is a low filter setting and the high note is a higher filter setting, and then the steps in between. The other thing I did was I created a kind of arpeggio of sorts that allows you to kind of pick which sample you want to play based on this LFO. So it might be a higher octave or a lower octave depending on the LFO, and it's got scans through the samples. So and there's kind of some kind of setting up you need to do with like the numbers coordinating with how many samples you got, and you have to load up this. If you've got like 5 samples, you've got to have like the middle sample selected, so 2 samples before and 2 samples after, so it LFOs up and down. But that I could go into that in detail, but I just think it's more interesting just to play around. And you can kind of work this out just by changing the settings and mucking around if you grab the project in the description. The cool thing is if you change the speed and the depth, I just smacked my camera. If you change the speed and the depth of the LFO, you can suddenly change the pattern as well, which is pretty neat. So it kind of creates this sort of immediate rhythmical change. So check this out. until you find one you like, right? Really nuts. And all it's doing is just kind of moving around the samples until you find something that kind of sounds good. So obviously when I kind of set this up, I couldn't have keyboard tracking with the filter set on this, and I was like, oh, that's such a shame, because despite having the filters on the sample, it's fixed, and it just didn't feel as reactive as it had done before. So the pitch was cool, but the filters was just like, it's just fixed. So I thought it'd be nice to have another filter, and then I thought, wait, we've got another filter on the delay. Sorry. So what you've been listening to is the sound running through the delay. So if I go to audio routing, the original sound source isn't even on. It's just the effects that are being sent. So you can hear, as opposed to there's your original samples, which is really neat. And kind of I've kind of set that up so it behaves in the same way keyboard tracking does for the basic LFO, but for the effects one. So I've kind of got the speed set to 0, the scan just to 1 because it's 1 of 0 is nothing, and then we've got a depth for the extremities of the filter. The difference being is the filter it's affecting is this one for the delay, so it's basically turning this up and down. And I've also got this set to the performance as well, so this is set on the dial, which kind of adds a similar thing to what the keyboard tracking was doing, just a normal filter was doing before. So yeah, you can kind of create these kind of frequency settings, these filter settings, but based on a delay, and it doesn't behave in the same way. It glitches out. As I was adding these in as well, it was really creating some percussive things as I was kind of assigning the phase per step. So I'll remove some and then and put them back so you can see what I mean. There we go. Like, what is going on there? That's nuts. So the other cool thing is, which I just discovered before I hit stream, was because the filter is set on the effects and not in the normal, like the path that you typically would use, like here, because it's set on the effects afterwards. When you turn the reverb up here, you're getting the raw sound as opposed to the filtered sound, which is really nice. I mean, you kind of get that anyway, but you can filter down the delay and still have the reverb bright. So you get this really cool separation, which Autechre use if you're fans of Autechre. And if you're not a fan of Autechre, then like what's going on? But if you're a fan of Autechre, they kind of use this a lot. They have like a sound that's like got the reverb, it's got its own EQ, and then it's just the wet of that reverb. I've always used this sort of technique, and they have the dry sound that's got its own thing. So there's kind of a similar thing here. that's very cool. I really like that. And then of course you can affect the reverb with the normal filter, which is, you know, yeah, I mean you can't see my face, you never will, but I'm grinning. This is very neat. Obviously the filter will affect the original sound as well, because that's before the delay. Although, having just said that, can I... maybe I can put it post. Yeah, I'm not sure. My mind's all going crazy. I'm just so excited with this sound. Yeah, pretty cool. So the other thing, there was something else. I forget what it was. It's just too much fun. It's just too much fun. Yeah, I do quite like this. I do quite like this ability to just change the pattern very quickly on a dial, as opposed to having to program it. Because when you're kind of programming keyboard tracking stuff, it's kind of like you can copy paste, but it's a bit awkward to like, oh, I need to, or I might want to change this pattern, or at least just change the fill up, and you can kind of increase and decrease the step count and copy paste, which is absolutely fine. But I always feel that fear of like, oh, I don't know, because I'm not going to be able to get back here easily. I mean, I could copy the track over, but at that point it feels like admin and not music making. So I quite like this, just turning a dial. Of course, you can change steps as well. I can feel my motor skills are really being challenged today. I keep flicking to certain pages, and I'm just not on that one because it's the whole thing's flipped within the within the delay filter. It's pretty exciting. I think it's good. That means my brain is having to work, which is in a good way. Yeah, of course, being that it's a delay, you've got this sense of it being the dry sound, and then you can suddenly start introducing the effect of delay, but it sort of feels like the source, not the effect, which is very cool. A lot of fun, that. Lots of potential. Can't even. I mean, we're not even using the modulation stuff that we were using the other day. So, yeah, pretty exciting. I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, download the project in the description as always, and have a play around, and yeah, enjoy your music. Cheers.